Hi, my name is Duro Oye, and you're listening to the Us People podcast with Savia Rocks.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Us People podcast. I'm your host Savia Rocks, and today I've got Duro here, who is a chief executive at 2020 Change. Duro, thank you so much for coming on the Us People podcast. How are you?
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm not too bad. It's a nice day outside for a change.
Good.
So I'm enjoying the fact that I have, well, technically a Friday off, but it's still nice to enjoy what you do. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
The first question I always have for everyone is a little bit about their background. And the reason why I ask people about their background is just so the listeners can connect more with you as an individual. So my first question to you is, could you tell us a little bit about your background of where you grew up and where you were actually brought up and how that inspired you to get into filmmaking, not just for yourself, but also to inspire young people?
Yeah. So I was actually born in Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria. I came here when I was 5. The first place that we lived when I came into the UK was pretty run-down council estate in Duro Farm, North London. So that was kind of like my first kind of exposure to what life could be like in the UK, in London. It wasn't half of what I expected. Obviously growing up in Nigeria, you expect, the streets to be paved with gold and, money to fall off trees. Yeah, that wasn't what I experienced in Broadwater Farm. I was pretty much stuck in the thick of it. And very, very quickly, I was able to realize that this isn't the kind of life that I wanted to live, for myself. This isn't the kind of life that I wanted for my family, for my kids. So I was young, when I think about kids but that's just the kind of person I am. I'm always thinking about the future. But it was, I wasn't inspired by what I saw inside the house. I wasn't inspired by what I saw outside the house. And that's kind of where my imagination kind of grew.
Yeah.
So I was more so inspired by the things, sounds weird, that I saw in my head.
No, you know what it is? I think you just had a vision. From a young age, you had a vision,
100%.
and that was your goal. So you just went with it.
I guess that's what it was. So I was always, looking inward and, just exploring things in my imagination. And that's kind of where my creativity kind of grew. But obviously you needed the practicality to go with that creativity. So I wanted to, make money. I wanted to sustain myself. We moved from North London to South London. It's probably in about year 6. So it was 10, 11. So I really grew up in South London. So we went from Tottenham to Woolwich, Southeast London. And it was a bit better because it wasn't a council estate. Now it was a house, and it looked a lot better than where I was coming from. So I thought, we're progressing, we're moving up the ladder.
Moving up.
But the more you took a deeper look into the area and the people in the area, the more you realize it's somewhat the same. It's just a better environment. It's a bit of a suburban environment, so you think it's better, but same kind of things are going on. Same kind of people are moving in and around those places. And I got caught up in what I now term street enterprise. So I use my creativity in that sense. Got in with the wrong crowd. People say got in with the wrong crowd, like we were the crowd, so I couldn't really get in with myself. So those things, we made it what it was, so it's not necessarily getting in with the wrong crowd. It was. And I always tell young people as well, it's like you have choices. It was a choice. It wasn't, I didn't stumble upon it. It didn't fall upon me. I actively went out looking for it because I felt like that was the easiest way for me to come out of the situation that I was in, i.e., make money very quickly and progress myself. But I'd say I was involved in that for about 8 years. So from the age of 12 to about 21.
Wow.
So I was quite early. I was an early adopter. as you would say. um, yeah, but I mean, if you're surrounded by it, if you have uncles involved in certain things as a young
Yeah,
person,
that's true.
you know, you pick up things very quickly. And just the kind of personality that I had, very quiet, observant, you wouldn't even know I was in the room. So you're having conversations, but I'm recording everything that you're saying in my head,
Yeah.
and then, you know, replaying it to my friends. And very quickly we set up our own kind of network and just worked our way up. So by the time I was 21, I was pretty much running several operations on my own. I was very comfortable. There's nothing that I wanted to buy that I couldn't buy. Obviously, my eyes got bigger, and there were things that I wanted to do. So I wanted to buy a house and all of that kind of stuff. But even though the money was there, the build up to it wasn't there, and obviously there's systems and
Yeah.
processes in place.
Of course.
So yeah, I couldn't just go ahead and do what I wanted, which is what I thought
You
when I
could.
was younger. If you had the money, you could just do whatever you want, but it's not the case. You have to also have the money in
There's
the
a
right
procedure. Yeah.
way. Exactly.
I think we've all
So
learned that at some point.
this is it. So this is it. So at 21, it was at that point that I realized I can't continue on like this. You know, I could have the money, but everything else that comes with it that I now want, I can't get. So I have to go back to the drawing board and start again from zero and build up myself again in the right way, so I can do the things that I wanted to do properly. So that's where my story of transformation started at the age of 21. But at that age, I felt like I'd already lived an entire life. So it's like I was reborn and like a new clean slate, yeah, ready to go again. So yeah, that was pretty much my journey.
You've had, from a young age, you've had a really incredible journey already compared to, we haven't even gone on to the other half of your life yet.
I know, right?
And this is just the first question. Imagine that.
I know. So when you told me you had 50 questions, that's why you can imagine I was a bit scared.
No, no.
We'll be here all day.
No, you could be. I always say that to my guests. I was like, we can be here all day because
Yeah.
I enjoy pulling out the information from each guest, and I think
Mm,
I'm humbled that the guests enjoy giving the information to
Yeah.
help inspire other people, because there are so many people out there, for instance, who are doing different types of podcasts. And like I said to everyone, when I was doing my research on different types of podcasts, it was more about me, myself, and I, what kind of celebrities I can get on my podcast or what kind of ratings I can get. And that's not something that I kind of wanted to get into. I wanted to educate people so they can understand, each person who's an entrepreneur, each person who's gone through a hard life can understand, no matter what your life or your background is, you do have a chance to be anything that you want to be and do it in a positive way,
Absolutely.
no matter our
Absolutely.
background or what we've done. So
Exactly.
that's most definitely something. So how was your life growing up as a young, I know we spoke a bit about it just now, but how was your family life, and how was your family towards you when you were doing all of this?
Do you know what it is? My family, I think everyone would say this. I've got the best family in the world, right? They've been hugely supportive. Even when I was doing all the madness that I was doing, they were still supportive. They still believed in me. They still wanted me to do better. I kind of lived a double life for a number of years, so they didn't know what I was doing. So I was very good at, playing the good boy at home, but then terror on the streets, like a lot of young people are. So I was very good at that, and all my friends were very good at that. So obviously we're traditional Nigerian Yoruba family, and all my friends were traditional Nigerian Yoruba boys. So they'll come home, speak the language, very cultured. So everyone would just automatically think, oh, these boys are well raised, but not knowing that, yeah, literally people were scared of us on the streets. But so yeah, it was a bit of a mix. But like I said, when I went to university, so between the ages of 18 to 21, it was first time I was able to move away from home and just kind of gain some level of independence. It was in that moment that I was able to really just kind of find myself. So when I came back from university, I decided that I wanted to help young people like myself, young people that didn't necessarily have the support system that I had, didn't have someone to kind of show them right from wrong and show them the direction in which that they should go. So that transition probably happened between 21 and 25. It was in that moment that I was able to realize that I've actually got something unique. I'm different. I'm not like everybody else. There's something special about my mind and my way of thinking, processing information. And because of the environment that I was in, I was exposed to different people that were able to bring that out of me.
Yeah.
You know, so if I wasn't in that environment, my life could have gone in the complete opposite direction.
Yeah.
We probably wouldn't be having this conversation today. I'll probably be serving several life sentences, who knows?
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like one of those things where I had to sit down to myself, how many other young people made the same choices that I made?
Yeah.
But didn't end up where I ended up because of the support system that I had and because of the people that were able to step in at the time that they did and tell me, you're better than this, you know, you could do more, like, why don't you try this? So I wanted to be that individual for those young people.
When did you realize that change? When did you realize that you needed to make that change? Was it just one day where you just...
No.
Or was it over time?
It was a process.
Okay.
So I'd say it was my time at university. It was all through that time. And by the time I finished university, I said, you know, I'm going to give this thing a shot. This is just living on the straight and narrow, you know, being an upstanding member of society, and really just using what I felt was my skill, my talent, my mind, my creativity in a positive way to build something that will stand the test of time, as opposed to, you know, these quick scams, quick schemes, quick money making, get rich, all that kind of stuff. I thought, I want something tangible. I want something real. I want something that, you know, my family can say that, you know, they're proud of me for doing, you know. So it was, yeah, while I was at university, these were thoughts that were going through my mind. And like I said, it was several years, but when I finished university, that was the cutoff point. That I was like, you know what, I'm really just going to give this a shot and see where it goes. You know, I didn't know whether it was going to pan out. I mean, it's still panning out.
But that's the journey. That's the beautiful fact about life, is the journey.
Yeah. So I didn't know, but I just thought, I tried other things and I was good at that. You know, I've never really tried doing this properly, so I can't put my hand up to say it's not going to work. You know, there were questions that I had, but I didn't have the answers to until I made that transition. There's the only way that I could make that transition or get those answers if I made those that transition. So even the people that were helping me, the mentors, family members that I had that were trying to put me on the straight and narrow, they didn't really know the depth of the things that I did and what I was involved in. So they couldn't really help me. I was the only one that could help myself because I knew how far into that world that I was in. So I had to make that, you know, conscious decision to say, I'm not doing this anymore. Even the people that I was involved with, they thought I was crazy at the time because everything was good. You know, why would you leave now? You're at the top of your game, making all the money, you've got all the access, all the networks. Why would you leave now? It's not like you're not in trouble with the police. You don't have beef or anything. It was crazy. You know, I just said, I'm not doing it anymore. They laughed at me. They thought, yeah, you run out of money, you'll be back. No, it's been, I think we're...
Are those people still your friends now? Would you say those people are still your friends now?
See, friend is a strong word.
That's why I said it. That's why, because I know associates and friends are completely two different
very, very
things.
different. But to be honest, I'll be honest with you that there are a few of them that are still very good friends now. You know, the best man at my wedding was one of the guys that I was involved with on the streets. And what the beautiful thing about our journey is it kind of splits into two worlds. So I lived in Southeast London, and because I wanted to be different, I went to college in Southwest London.
Okay.
So I traveled, so I was able to mix with a whole different group of people. And even though we're all involved in the same things, but from different aspects, so my network was quite wide. And my guys over at Southwest London, they turned their lives around before me. So while I was at university, I think that also helps me to think about, yeah, maybe this road that we're on isn't all that it's panned up to be. And I would probably say that they were worse than me in some of the things that they did. And I think if they could turn their lives around, surely, you know,
I must be able to do something.
You know, like, yes, I was thinking back, but I was still enjoying what I was doing. So, yeah, the guys in Southeast London, I was one of the first to, turn my life around in that area. They were the ones that were more so laughing and saying, "Yeah, you'll be back." But eventually, say if we had a group, gang, brotherhood, whatever you want to call it, of maybe 45 strong, probably about 40 of them have turned their lives around
That's
now.
good.
About 5 of them are still
So
dabbling.
you are now the army of positivity.
This is it.
That's what I
This
like.
is it.
So,
This is it.
a random question is: so if you say 40 of you have changed your life around, what happened to the other, say 4 or 5?
Like I said, they're still around. Some of them have been in and out of prison. Now they're trying to start businesses and do stuff, but you could just tell that a few of them are still dabbling,
Yeah.
Certain things. But my philosophy is always you can't sit on the fence. You can't have one foot in, one foot out.
That's
you
true.
have to be all in.
Yeah,
It's
I
just
agree
not
with
going to
you.
work. And I think it might take them some time to realize that. But everybody has to come to that conclusion on their own.
Yeah.
Can't force people.
Some people have to
It's one
learn.
of those things. Yeah, you have to experience it on their own. So, yeah.
How did your journey begin in film? Because this is something that I was like, "Whoa, okay, you do." Film is not easy, and it's definitely not an
Nah.
easy industry to get into. So,
Yeah.
how did your journey begin within film, and what made you become emotionally connected and attached to it?
Do you know, like I said, I've always had a creative mind. So once again, it was at university. Watching films helped me escape from my reality. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. So as I was trying to find myself while I was at university, so obviously you do the whole, going out, clubbing and all of that. But maybe first year into my second year, I was thinking isn't really me.
Yeah.
Like I'm just going there, I'm not really enjoying it. At that moment, I started to think to myself, a lot of what I do, I just do for other people. So I'm only
Yes.
going along with the crowd.
I'm so glad
so
you said
everybody
that.
wants to go here. Yeah, everybody wants to go here, so you go. But deep down inside, you're not really enjoying it. I'd rather be in my house by myself watching a film or something. So I just started doing that. And then in that, I started studying, really getting into films. I wanted to act at first, but yeah, my parents and my family, they shut that down quite early.
Wow. How was that? How did that? Okay, how did that go down?
No, yeah, it was interesting. So I got an A-star for drama at school. So I wrote the final year production and I acted in it as well. And I potentially had a career in the West End theatre. I had an agent, everything was going well, but my vision for my life was I was going to finish college, go to the West End and become a famous actor. Like the journey was there. But my mum said like her one ambition in life was to make sure that all of her kids go to university because she never did. And I'm the last of 6. So it's like you're gonna ruin my whole life, man. If you go to university. So I was hard headed at the time. I was like, no, I'm doing what I'm gonna do. But yeah, so she called a whole family meeting.
What?
Uncles, aunties, everybody was there. She started rolling on the floor crying. I was like, you know what, cool, I'll go to uni. But it's crazy because uni's where I discovered myself. So it was all part of the plan.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was then that I realized maybe I don't want to act. Maybe I want to get behind the camera. And I really want to understand how things are put together. Maybe, my skill set is best suited in that area. And also, like, I thought about the money that people make behind.
And people make more money behind than in front. People think it's the people in front that make the money. It's actually the people behind.
Yeah, so I found that out quite early. I was like, yep, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, so when I finished uni, that was the passion.
Yeah.
The church that I was going to at the time had a TV station connected to it, so I was volunteering with them. So I studied graphics and advertising at university. So I started doing like the designs and graphics, and then they trained me up to become a motion graphics editor. So I was doing that. Fell in love with the whole process of TV film production, then went to film school while I was at the TV station. So I was volunteering for about a month. Then, they employed me, and I worked my way through the ranks, and I learned so much from the TV station because pretty much it was a small team, so you had to do everything, you had to learn everything. So it was great in that sense. And I went and topped that up by going to film school, learn how to direct, learn how to put a piece of film together. And then, the thing about film school is they just teach you the practicality and tell you go out there and do it. And I'm ambitious anyway, so I made my first short film while I was at film school. It was a 10-minute film. I think we spent I spent like £2,500 on it, just to get it done. And then I went to the cinema in Canary Wharf, spoke to the manager, asked if I could hire out one of their screens to screen my 10-minute short film. He's like, yeah, sure, I'm gonna have to pay for it. I said, no problem. So I'm gonna charge people £10 to come in for a 10-minute short film. He's like, people are gonna pay £1 a minute. I said, yeah. So, yeah, we sold that out. We had like 450 people there, and everybody really loved the film. And they said, yeah, you really got a knack for this, so go ahead and pursue it. So from there, I did a longer course, a year course, which gave me a full-on qualification as a director. And then I got into documentary filmmaking, which was similar to what I was doing at the TV station. I wanted to find people like myself with transformational stories and get those stories out there. So while I was at the TV station, I had a show, invited these guys along, which we met online, social media, someone connected us. And we just hit it off. And these were the 3 guys from Brixton, ex-gang members from Brixton that turned their lives around. And we just really gelled. So they'd never really met anybody like me that has turned their life around in the way that I did, and was still relatable. So I wasn't weird, I wasn't strange. Even though I didn't talk like them, I didn't sound like them, I didn't look like them, they knew that my story was genuine just because of how much information I had. And they, as they say, real recognize real, so they could know true. That.
Most definitely.
This guy's genuine, and they just wanted to learn how to transition in the same way that I did, because obviously you have people that lived a particular lifestyle, and if you met them today, you'd still be able to tell that this person's from. But I feel like when the change comes from within, you shouldn't even be able to. Like, I hardly talk about the past anymore because it's unbelievable, like just how far
you've come as a person.
It's like, it's only if you know that you know. So it's even better when it's other people talking about it. I don't need to, because there's so much has happened since then that I don't need to draw on, where I was back then, because it's completely different. I'm a completely different person. So that's pretty much how I got into film, and I made that documentary. In order for me to make that documentary, I had to leave the TV station just because of the time, effort, and energy that was required. For the documentary, I spent 18 months just following and documenting their lives, documenting their change, the struggle that they faced, and trying to break back into society.
That in itself must have been inspirational.
Yeah, that was amazing. This was another turning point in my life. So it was at that in that moment that I realized I learned so much from them that I felt like their stories needed to be out there. Young people needed to hear what it's truly like being involved in that kind of life, and how you can, turn it around. It's not going to be easy, but there are people that are doing it, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get those stories out there. So my ambition was, make the documentary. I heard about all these amazing youth organizations that are doing great things to help young people. I thought, if I can get this story, authentic story, out there, give it to them, they'll be able to do what they do, turn it into workshops, take it to schools, prisons, and that'll be it. My debt to society would have been paid, and all the young people that I led astray would be able to watch this and turn their lives around. And I thought, that's it. I'm going to do that. And
I like the way you said that part. Okay, that's it. My debt is
the way
paid.
that these ideas come in my mind. It's just like, that's it. It's going to work out. Everything's going to be that. But
one thing I love that is so beautiful and unique is the way that creative people's minds work. Not everyone is able to understand them, because our minds are very unique. People think we're weird. People think we're eccentric, and but I find it as something that is rare. And I
Yeah,
think that's what
it's true.
makes the world different. People like us make the world different, so it's a beautiful thing in itself. How important is education? Well, we talked about your mum rolling on the floor, so that must have been
Yeah,
a turning point. But how
yeah.
important is education to you? And how do you feel that young people should have an education so that they can become better within themselves? Or do you think that their talent is enough to get them where
No,
they need to go?
no, talent is not enough because talent needs to be coupled with hard work and understanding of where you can take that talent. I'm a huge advocate for education. I want to say that I always was, but I don't think that's completely true. 'Cause I didn't really understand when I was in school. I didn't really understand why I was there. I knew that I was there, to get the grades and all of that, but it didn't make sense to how I would use this practically in life. And I was one of those young people that my teachers would always tell me, "Oh, Joe, you got so much potential. You just need to apply yourself. You need to stop hanging around with these people who sit at the front in class." And I'm just like, what am I going to do with that? But it's not until later on in life that I realized that education is a foundation to everything. It really helps you and break down information and piece it back together in your own way so you can communicate it so that others are able to understand you. And one of the things that, we talk about in 2020 Change the program is how if you look at the different levels of education, when you're at secondary school, you probably have like 12, 13 subjects that you're studying for. You get your grades and then you move on to college, sixth form, whichever one, and you streamline to about you know, four. And then from that, you then go into a speciality when you go to university, and it's probably that one or two. So if you look at it, the foundation's already laid and you're working your way up to actually specialize in something, but you're learning something from all of those different at those different levels. And it's just basically how to process information. You can tell someone that's educated from someone that's not educated. You
That's
can go
true.
into any room, be able to hold your own. You don't feel intimidated. You don't feel like I don't understand what's going on here. I can't get involved in the conversation. When a young person takes their education seriously, what it does, it just opens countless doors for you.
That's
And
true.
one of the things that I say to young people is your future self will thank your previous self for giving you options. Everybody wants options, and the more seriously you take your education, the better the options that you'll have later on in life.
That's true. That's some
So,
good advice right there. No, that's good advice. If you could have one person who you admire to work with, famous or not famous, to work on a film or a project, who would you choose and why?
if I could have someone to work on a film
On a
project,
film project.
Martin Scorsese,
Ooh, okay.
famous director, yeah, old school. So I studied pretty much all of his films. I love the way that he depicts, the times and the seasons, down to a T. This is like latest one on Netflix. I think it's The Last Scotsman or something. About 2-3 hours long. Watched every single minute of it. Watched the interviews and everything. It's just the way his mind works, and the fact that he started with so little, and he was able to make such an impact in the industry. Like, there's no director that won't tell you that they admire his work. And that's someone that I don't even need to work with him. I just want to sit under him and learn.
We're gonna
you
send
know,
this to him, okay? We're
it's,
gonna send this to him.
it's not even a matter of working with him. I'm a huge advocate of learning from people. Being mentored. That's me. So if the opportunity came to work with him, great. If it was just to have a conversation with him, great. If it was just a dinner or coffee, great. Because there's so much that you can draw from those things. It
No,
doesn't
that's
have to
true.
be a full-on project. Because that's who it would be.
What do you consider to be your most challenging aspect of being an entrepreneur? and a filmmaker, and also working within the I Am Challenge program.
I am changed.
I am
I am
sorry.
changed.
I am changed. So you see how my brain works? I am changed. He corrected me, guys. I am changed. You know how many times I've said that to myself?
Seriously. For me, I think the most challenging part will be balance.
Oh, that's
You
a good
know,
one.
there's I think there's so much that I'm capable of doing
Mm-hmm.
that at times I want to do it all. And I don't want like any of my gifts or my talents to be wasted or to lay dormant. So I
Yeah.
feel like at any given time I'm always questioning myself, am I doing enough?
Yeah.
You know,
I
when it
think we
comes
all
to
do that.
filmmaking, am I getting
Yeah.
the stories out there? Am I doing enough to ensure that the right voices are being heard? When it comes to being an entrepreneur, a social entrepreneur. Right now, obviously, for several years, probably about 6 years, I was kind of like a lone founder, just doing everything. But I now have a board in place. I've got a non-exec director board, people from all walks of life,
Yeah, I've seen it on
amazing
your website.
individuals
Yeah.
yeah, with a wealth of experience, and they're helping me guide and structure what we're trying to do, strategic planning and all of that. So it's like I can be up there with the fairies, but they very much like
Bring you
kind of
back
bring me
down to
down to
earth.
look, this is what we need to focus on now. So even like everything that's going on with 2020 change right now, there's a lot of change within the organization in terms of streamlining our vision, being focused, being intentional about what it is that we want to achieve, and then moving on. So I was always reverting back to my original vision of having like a 3-tier organization that works within the community, works in the schools, and then works within the prisons as well. They're like, that's great. It's a great vision. But right now, we need to focus on this area. So yeah, I think having them on board has really, really just kind of helped me in that sense. Being able to select the film projects that I work on as well has also kind of helped. So it's not like with film now, it's not a thing where I do it for money. Does this align with our organization? Does this align with me as an individual? Is this something that I have the capacity to get involved in right now? There's so many things that I've turned down just because it's not a good fit, as they say.
No, that makes
So
sense.
it's not a good fit. So it's finding that balance, and then also balancing it with my personal life as well. So there could be times where the work that I'm doing with the organization all consuming. It's not just me sitting at the top as the CEO looking at the strategic direction for the organization, but then there's also the young people that we're helping as well. So I'm currently facilitating the sessions. It's not feasible for the foreseeable future. I'm not going to be able to do that forever. So I've got relationships with the young people that have come through the program. Year on year, that number's increasing. Year on year, the pool of people that are mentoring is increasing. If they're going through something and they need some advice, and then they'll call on me. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it's becoming a lot. So if we trace back to when we started over 7 years ago, we've got over 750 young people that we've worked with in that time. So you can imagine. Thankfully, they're not all going through stuff. So thankfully, there are some that fully advanced, just totally fine on their own, and they're also coming back and helping out as well. But then, just imagine COVID happening. People on lockdown, people losing jobs, internships, businesses folding. It's a lot. So it's just
Yeah. It's been
that
sad to watch that happen.
yeah. So for me, it's definitely that balance, finding that balance. I can't say that I'm fully there yet, but very
Everything with
positive
time.
plan. Yeah, by the end of this year, I should be able to say I'm in a more
Don't worry, I'll
balanced.
come back to you in a couple of months and say, what's going on? So how are we looking? And I'm sure you will have an abundant amount of knowledge to come back and tell me even more so than what you're doing
No,
now.
absolutely.
So that in itself, I'm grateful for. So tell us about the I Am Change program, because when I read literally everything. There's nothing on your website I don't think I didn't read. Okay.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I want to know how it started. What made you get that epiphany in your mind to start it? And how did it all start from the beginning of the process to where it is now? If you don't mind explaining.
No, not at all. So how it all started, the epiphany came when, like I said, probably 2000, when I was 25, how long that is now, this is what, 2010, was when I realized that actually you've been tremendously helped by the people around you. And if you didn't have them, you wouldn't be where you are. So it just kind of got me thinking. I was in that grateful state where I was like, I'm so grateful for, the family that I was born into, people around me, the decisions that I made, the mistakes that I made, and I was still able to come out on the other side kind of pretty much unscathed, And I just thought, what about the young people that didn't come out unscathed? About the young people that are still stuck in that rut right now? Who's there to help them? And I've been so greatly helped. It's only right, that I go back and help others. And I just thought to myself, not everybody's going to wake up like I did and say, yeah, I'm not going to do this anymore and just completely turn their lives around. It's going to be very hard. So what can I do to make that transition easier? What can I do to help them along that journey? How can I help them see themselves in a more positive light, regardless of the mistakes that they made, the stains on their record or their checkered background? How can we still draw the good from them? So I just started tracing back what helped me. What did I listen to? Who did I listen to? What did they share? What were the key things that I needed to hear at different moments in my life that really just gave me that kind of eureka moment that, yep, you can do this. So I had that process, started jotting it all down. And I put it into what we now call the I Am Change program. So it was called the Goldmine program, whereas, you're digging deep within yourself to find the treasure that's buried in there. But then it's just evolved since then, just creating the sessions, looking at how the sessions can be delivered. At first, it was hard, just like finding young people to want to do the program. So I just started with the young people that I had access to. And I was committed to ensuring that they made it out on the other side. So we actually started with the young people that were part of the documentary film. So it was in that moment that I realized that I'm actually mentoring these young people.
Yeah, you are.
I didn't know what it was. Didn't know what mentoring was. I didn't see myself as a mentor. I didn't think I was qualified or anything like that. I built up the model based on that. And I knew that I needed to prove that the model would work. I needed to prove that, young people could be changed from this process. Some of the hardest to reach, as they say, young people would come on this program and come out on the other side. So as I started, people saying, oh, you could get funding for this, you can get this, you can get support. I was like, okay, I'm not really in it for that, but that would help. So I applied. Everybody kind of turned me down and said, no, it's too risky what you're trying to do. It's not going to work. You're not qualified. You didn't study psychology. How can you be talking about the mind?
They said that to you?
You're a lone founder. It's too risky. Nobody's going to fund this. I was like, cool. So I shut that down quite early on. And I thought, cool, if no one's going to fund it, I'll fund it myself. I'll find a way to make it work. I don't really need that much. I just need... I need a space. I need to be able to buy snacks. I remember we used to buy the meal deals from Tesco. Back then, I think they were £2 meal deals. I used to spend probably like £15-20 on that, just to make sure that the young people come and they have something to eat while they're there. And now we're sponsored by Nando's.
See what I mean?
The journey, so back then it was like, it wasn't too much money, but I needed to prove the model, and I built it up to a way where I felt like a corporate sponsor would come along, see the good that we're doing, and say they want to attach their name to it and they want to fund and sponsor the program. So that was what I had in mind. I didn't know how long that was going to take, I didn't know how it was going to happen. I didn't have a corporate sponsor in mind. I just knew a big corporate was going to come along and say, how can you help? How can you support this? It took 5 years for that to happen. But we just kept doing good work. You know, we kept changing the lives of young people. Numbers kept going up. We just kept plowing on. And then we had an Evening Standard article go out in 2018. And yeah, the GM of Converse, the trainer brand, was on his way home on his commute, picked up the Evening Standard. What we didn't know is that they had a global meeting probably like the day before. One of their values is to serve youth, and they just said to themselves that we're not doing enough in this area. What can we do? You guys have a think about what we can do and come back. So on his commute home, he picked up the
Oh my
Standard, read
gosh.
about what we were doing, and said, this is exactly what we're looking for. Emailed me the next day, got back into the office and said, you guys want to come in for a meeting? You want to support? We love what you're doing. We want to support. So yeah. And because I had it in my mind that I wanted a corporate to come along, when he asked us what we needed, I had my list. I wrote everything
You
off.
manifested that a long time ago.
Trust me. He sat there for like 30 seconds. He was like, yeah, we can do this. I was like, oh, okay. Cool. So everything that we wanted was in there. It was financial support, space, sponsorship packages, help with graduation ceremonies, and introduction to their networks. Yeah, that's how it happened, and that's how we got to where we are now. So that was 2018. We signed a 3-year deal with them. So the deal's coming. So we're in our 3rd year of that deal now, and they've been just simply amazing. They've introduced us to their networks, and that's how Nando's came along. So they introduced us to Nando's. Nando's said the same thing. Love what you're doing. How can we support? So this is what we need.
See you.
Cool, no problem. And the list continues to go on. So since the whole Black Lives Matter movement became a thing, we started talking about that, and obviously we've got like a nice network of corporates that support what we do, and they just probably had about 250 conversations around that, talking to different teams, you know, kind of advising them on how to lead certain conversations. And they were just like, you've got a unique perspective on this. You know, it's very different to what we're seeing on mainstream media, what we're seeing on social media. Why don't you think about, you know, getting more corporates on board with what you're doing? And that's where the idea. We had a corporate roundtable on Wednesday. We had about 45 individuals from 15 major corporates around the table, all willing to support what we're doing moving forward. So yeah, we've got some exciting stuff in the pipeline, but it all started with me just wanting to help young people that are in the position that I was in come out of it. And yeah, here we are.
Talk to me about what a session looks like in the I Am Change. So say if I was an individual or youth and I want to come and sign up to the program, what would you expect from me to be able to come into the program, and what would I achieve at the end of the program?
That's a very, very good question. So young people come on the program. We kind of target young people that are trying to find their feet in life. We market the program as we teach the things that you don't necessarily get taught in schools. So things that you should be taught in school. So all the things that you need to be able to function as an adult, basically. So people that are still trying to navigate this thing called adulthood, trying to find their way. Maybe you've got qualifications, maybe you don't, maybe you're trying to get into work, maybe you're trying to set up a business. Everything that we do is centered around the mind and cultivating the right kind of mindset, to engage with today's society. That's what we do. So the young person signs up via social media. You find out about the program via social media or via word of mouth. It's 6 weeks, 36 hours in total. So we need that full-on commitment from the young person. It was every Tuesday and Thursday evening between 6 till 9, but now we're online just due to COVID and everything. But yeah, so we take that young person on the journey of self-discovery. By the end of the program, the young person is very confident in who they are, what they stand for, what they believe, what their values are, and what they're good at. So we help them identify their skills, and we also help connect them to industries and sectors that require those skills. And we are now in a position where we can offer paid internships with our various different corporate partners and also help them secure a permanent role within those companies, and then they can work their way up as well. So what you come out with, we're working on getting the program accredited, but right now what you come out with is a certificate of completion. But because of our network, anywhere that anytime you go to a corporate within our network with that certificate, they understand the journey that you've been on, and they understand the kind of skills that you've picked up or enhanced as a result of being a part of the I Am Change program. And for that reason, you're invited to an interview, but you still have to deliver.
Of course you do.
But we've now got a reputation of, there's a caliber of young person that comes through the 2020 I Am Change program. There's a level of expectation that comes with you wearing that badge of honor. So at graduation, you get a badge of honor as well. And we told them to wear that along to your interviews when you're having important meetings. Because you just never know who's already heard about 2020.
That's true.
That could be the icebreaker that you need, and that will just completely ease your mood and allow you to flow into it properly. And even if they ask you, you can use that as an opportunity to talk about, what you learned, the journey that you've been on, and just kind of sets the tone for the rest of the meeting or interview.
Is there a specific age group?
Yes, 18 to 30 is the age group that we're working with. A lot of youth services stop at 24.
Yeah.
Because they're funded by the government, and we wanted to position ourselves out of that, knowing that most young people don't really develop until 25.
Yes.
And they
true.
need that help in that stage, at that stage in their life, but yet it's like they're cut off, and it's like now you just have to figure it out on your own. So we've extended ours to 30.
How do you keep their attention? Because I know a lot of the time with youth, it's very hard, and we were used at one point where people could keep our attention, especially when it comes to doing a program or being involved or being committed to something.
Yeah.
And because
go
for it. I was going to say, just because of our mindset and how and what we've been through in our life, how would you say that you keep those youths committed?
Keep them engaged.
Yeah.
So that's one of the unique things that we do very well. We treat our program like a university course. So even though it's open to everyone, not everybody makes it.
Fair enough.
We have an active waiting list of 250 young people that are waiting to get onto the program. So you getting onto the program alone is a cause for celebration because we only take on cohorts of 25, and we host 5 cohorts of 25 a year. That's 125 young people. That's going to grow and expand in the coming year. But right now, that's the capacity that we can handle. So once you sign up for the program, each time we have a recruitment round, we have about 70, 80 odd young people sign up for the program. So at that moment, we already start filtering them through. We check and we gauge their level of commitment.
Of course.
So from the registration, it's only open for 2 weeks now. Once the deadline's closed, you have to wait for the next round. Then we invite you along for an open evening. If you don't show up for the open evening, you're already scrapped. If you can't make the open evening for one reason or the other, and you let us know, then we might, still consider you, but we ensure that everybody comes along for the open evening, because at the open evenings where we give them full-on information about the program, how it runs, your level of commitment, what you need to do in order for you to graduate. And if you don't complete the program, you don't graduate, and you have to reapply again in order for you to graduate. So then after the open evening, we invite them to an informal interview, which lasts about 10-15 minutes, just for us to get to know them better, understand their background, understand why they want to be part of the program. And based on how that interview goes, we select those that we feel would benefit most from the program, and those that are willing to commit to the time that's needed for them to be on the program. So what keeps them engaged? One, the sessions deeply interactive, so you have to be involved, and that was one of the concerns that we had with moving it online. How can we keep that level of engagement online? But thankfully, it's been the same. People have said that, they've absolutely loved the online sessions. They've loved the fact that we've been able to continue, especially with everything that's going on with COVID. It's just that they look forward to the sessions. It's an uplifting moment in their day. So that's been good in that sense. So the sessions are interactive. We get the young people to talk, we get them to engage, we get them to open up. It's not a lecture per se. It's like we're all learning from each other. There's no right or wrong answers, but we're just getting you to see things from a different perspective, process information in a new way. So everybody's intrigued to find out what the other person said. Oh, actually, I never thought about it from that perspective before. So it's every week, there's something new for you to look forward to and for you to engage with. And then at the end, only people that graduate get inducted into our 2020 Change Alumni Network.
Ooh.
And that's where the benefits of being a 2020 Change alumni kind of happen. So, like I said, we have access to so many different corporates that now want to be recruiting through us. So we have exclusive roles that come to us and only to us. Internships that never existed before, that have been created solely for young people from the 2020 Change program. So Converse were the first companies to actually do that, set up an exclusive internship program for us. So that would only ever go out to our alumni network. So there's so many benefits that you get, and there are jobs that come in, there are discounts, there's gifts, all kind of stuff that you get just from being associated to 2020. So like I said, it's that badge of honor. So everybody wants to complete so that they can get. So we having people, when they even signing up, they're like, oh, why do you want to be a part of the program? I want to be in the network. I want to be in the network. I know that you guys can get people, you guys are the plug, you can connect me with this. That's what they want. So whatever it takes for them to finish and complete the program, they're there. And that's what we want. We want hungry young people that go get a mentality, because it's the access to opportunities, right?
That's true.
A lot of young people from the demographics that we work with don't have access to that opportunity, don't have direct access to people that could make things happen for them. We're talking, people that come on our program, senior execs that come and speak to our young people. By the end, they're just like, Duro's got my details. If you want to connect, if you want to grab a copy after this, just email him and he'll connect. And so many great things have happened as a result of that. And young people just love that. And obviously they share that with their friends and their family members. And obviously, if we're sending out emails, it's only open to 2020 Change alumni. So you can try to apply, but you won't get through because you're not 2020 Change alumni. So in order for you to get the full benefits of it, you have to go through the program, graduate, and that's how it works.
Let me talk a little bit about you now. What did you want to be when you were in college?
I wanted to be an actor. Remember?
Yeah, I remember you wanted to be an actor. Yeah, I remember. And I know how that got shut down.
My mum said no.
Your mum said no. I keep laughing at that. But even after that, being an actor, have you ever said to yourself that even though you're doing what you're doing now, which is brilliant, do you ever feel like that is something that you would ever want to go back to?
What, acting?
Yeah.
No.
You've never... Because the reason why I ask is because so many people, when I ask that question, so many people say to me they're doing what they're doing now. But then when I say to you, what would you say to your younger self if you wanted to be an actor like you were? Like, although you got shut down, is that still something that you would want to do?
No, so I'm at a stage in my life where, but I got to a stage in my life where I was able to look back and actually, I think it was probably around my 30th birthday, I was able to look back and really appreciate the journey that I've been on and every single thing that I was involved in. So all of the gifts and talents that were placed inside me, I was able to recognize this is actually why it's there. Like a lot of young people tend to think, oh, I'm so gifted and talented in so many different areas, I need to do all of these things. But I realized that it was all part of my journey. I did acting to enhance my creativity, so I can paint, I can draw, and it's like I could have gone down any one of those routes.
That's exactly why I asked the question.
It led me to this, and I've been able to use each and every single one of those skills and those talents even in my role now.
Yeah.
Did you get it? So
Yeah.
when I started the organization, like I said, I was a lone founder. So I designed everything. I designed the artwork, I designed the logo, I designed this, I scripted the videos, I did everything. I could wear many hats because of my background, and then, me having a passion and a desire for film led me to go into production. The production led me to meet the people that I met. Meeting the people that I met led me to set up the organization. So it's just gone full circle. So in that reflective mode, at my 30th birthday, I was just thinking, wow, like, look how everything is pieced itself together. Imagine if I only just took a little piece of this pie, I would have missed out on so much. So you're asking me what would I want to do in the future? I still want to be doing what I'm doing now, but just on a larger scale.
That's what I love. Yeah.
I want to establish what we've established here in London, different parts of the UK, different parts of the world. There are a lot of young people that are facing the same issues in different parts of the world. We're going to be able to grow the organisation. So it's an international organisation. I still want to be able to be involved in film, but more in a executive producer capacity, maybe setting up a studio as part of this. So enabling young people that come through our program to actually have things that they can go on to do that connected with. That's essentially what I want to do. So just continue growing, and as I'm growing, I'm opening up opportunities for the young people that come through our program. That's what I'm all about. I'm all about, I don't need to be all the way at the top to bring people along with me. As I take a step, you guys take a step with me.
I like that.
And that's been the beauty of our journey. So when we started, and we didn't have an office space and all of that kind of stuff, young people saw that. Now we're in Soho, young people are seeing that. So there are young people that have been with us from the beginning. So it's like what I'm saying to them and I'm telling them to do, I've already done. It's not a case where it's like, oh, it's just wishful thinking, or wouldn't it be nice? No, like I'm living this. And we're only just starting. Even like I said with the corporate roundtable, I posted it on our socials, and the young people were just like, "This is insane." This is happening during lockdown while companies are closing up and people saying
You're
they're
expanding.
not spending. We're expanding, we're growing. We took on new members of staff during the lockdown, and it's like, things are really happening. So,
what's the best advice you've ever received from someone?
That's a good one. It depends. There's so much. I can't even say it. If you ask me in different areas, it would be easier to answer. But if I was to say the best advice
you've ever received from someone. I actually made you think. Wow.
No, you did. You did. And you know why? Because there's so many different points.
No, I can imagine.
But if you want to say the best one, wow. Okay, yeah, I've got one. Be careful who you marry.
Be careful who you marry.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna have to go into depth with me with that one.
Exactly, that's what I was saying to you. It was a bit of a hard one because obviously when I was younger, growing up in the church, my change happened within the church. I was of marriage. I came to marriage age, and everyone was like, when are you gonna marry? But one of my leaders actually said to me, like, just because of the way your life is going, you have to be careful of who you marry, because that could either make you or derail you.
Yes,
someone
that's true.
that believes in you, in your vision, in your passion, and what it is that you want to do, that will enable you to be able to do that without any stress or headache. That's what you need to think about. So that really kind of got me thinking. It kind of got me scared a little bit as well, because it's like, so the importance of the person that you marry, everything that you're trying to do could really just go in the blink of an eye.
But it's true.
Make a wrong decision. So I would say that's probably one of the, if I was to say the best, just because after I got married, things just went through the roof. Just that level of stability, that that support system, that someone that believes in you regardless of what's happening, so yeah, I can see why now, that I would say that that's probably the best advice that I've received.
You don't seem like a person who cares very much about money, because you've stated that several times. No, it's true. No, you don't seem like, yeah, you're type. No, seriously, you're the type of person. Just from having this interview with you, like, I'll do it myself. If you
Yeah.
don't get it, you'll do it yourself, and I've realized that with you. But my question is to you: if you did have an unlimited amount of money, so no matter how much money you made, you just kept on getting 10 times more. What would you do to change the education system for the youngsters who are on your program, and just education as a whole?
That's a very, very good question, and it's a question that I think about all the time. So yeah, just back on that whole not caring about money thing. So like I said, I came into money quite early. So the concept of money for me is different to a lot of people. People will be willing to do crazy things for money, whereas I've had that and I'm not willing to risk the freedom that I have for that anymore. So
Totally.
that's just kind of like where it came from. And because I've seen it, I've handled it, I'm not so much moved by it. I know that you can get it.
Yeah.
And now that I'm doing good, it's like I've made more money now than I ever did doing all of what I was doing. So I'm comfortable in that sense. If I was unlimited amount of money to make all the changes that I wanted to make, definitely I'd have free schools. I have free schools in some of the hardest, most deprived areas of inner cities.
I like that.
I'll target the young people that we're currently working with now, but earlier. So young people from broken homes, young people from, just abusive environments, because there are things that a young person's exposed to quite early on that kind of scar them
Yeah, that is very
for the
true.
future.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I'm gonna get the young people to grow up too quickly. I also believe that it's important for you to have a childhood. So it's one of the things that I used to say, that I never really had a childhood. I had to grow up a lot faster than the rest of my peers. I think a young person, a child, should be allowed to be a child. So enabling that environment where children can be children.
Yeah, I like that.
That's the kind of world that I'd want to create. And if I was to do that within the education system, so having teachings that prepare young people for the world that they're going into quite early on. So problem solving skills are delivered quite early. Projects where young people can think of an issue and come up with a solution to that. Teaching them how to communicate effectively, how to negotiate, how to get their point across. So when they get older, they start to realize, I've been doing this my whole life. So they're not intimidated by certain situations, scenarios, circumstances.
That makes perfect sense.
Change. So basically, it's what we're doing now, but on a much larger scale. So we'll have our own schools, our own academies, boarding schools, even retreats, having young people travel, exchange programs. I mean, the list could go on.
See, I like that. You have a vision, and your vision is clear. Your vision is clear, clear as day.
Yeah.
So my next question for you is, if you had to choose one quote, or one quote alone, that represents you as a person, what quote would you choose, and why would you choose that particular quote?
One of my own quotes, or just a random quote?
Any random. It could be yours, it could be someone else's, but one quote that just resonates with you as an individual.
I'll say it's one of my own. I'll take one of my own because I live by it and I stand by it. And that is, if the young person doesn't have a plan, the community will create one for them. And when I say that, it depends on who I'm speaking to.
Told you.
It depends on who I'm speaking to. That determines how they would interpret what I just said. Because it's like so many young people don't have
It's
plans.
true. No, I agree with you.
They don't have dreams. They don't have ambitions. They don't know what it is that they want to do. And depending on the environment that young person grows up in, that will determine the kind of plan or the kind of future that young person will have. So you could come from a well-to-do family, whether you're white or black. If you don't have a plan, your environment will definitely come up with a plan for you. But if you happen to be in or coming from a deprived background, if you don't have a plan, that environment will come up with a plan for you, but that plan won't be a good one. So as a young person, you're better off creating your own plan. So one of the things we talk about 2020 change is the videotape. So how would you introduce yourself? We get the young people to stand up in front of the room and get them to introduce themselves as they would 5 years from now.
Okay.
So for the very first time, they're thinking about what life could actually look like in 5 years. Some of them have never actually thought about this before. Some of the saddest instances is when a young person said, I don't think I'm going to be alive in 5 years. Yeah, it gets that real sometimes because it's just like they don't think they're going to make it past a particular age. And that is telling in itself the kind of environments that these young people are growing up in. But then when you break away from that and you start to get the young person that actually you have helping them understand that they have the capability to create the kind of life that they want to live.
Yeah.
They have the capability to create the future that they want to live in. That it's in your own hands and it's based on the decisions that you make now. So no matter how beautiful and how pretty you envision 5 years to be from now let's trace it back. In order for you to get there in 5 years, what do you need to do in 3 years? What do you need to do in 2? What do you need to do in 1? What do you need to do in 3 months? So it's now, before you know it, right before your eyes, the young person's created a 5-year plan. And we get them to vocalize it, so speaking it forth, affirmations. So it's now like, okay, this is where I'm trying to get to. I'm focused. I've got that determination. I'm going to make it happen. I need to study. I need to take my education seriously. So without us even having to do anything, the young person's already planning this. So if this is really what you want, you've got to make it happen. How bad you want it to happen. And then we also make it realistic by getting them to throw curveballs in there as well. So it's like, what are the challenges that you envision that would happen? You want to have 3 businesses. What areas are those businesses in? What industries? What does that industry look like now? How did COVID affect that industry? Will that industry still even be vibrant in 5 years?
That's true.
Time? So get them to think about all of these things. Like, you spend your time doing all things that you shouldn't be doing, just wasting your time. Why don't you start planning and thinking? And this is the mentality that I had as a young person. So this is where my creativity came in, my imagination came in, and I started thinking, yeah, I can't live in a council estate. I can't raise my kids in the same way that I was raised.
That's true.
I have to do this. I have to do that. I made deliberate choices about not getting married until I did, not having kids until, I've put certain things in place because of the kind of lifestyle. So you have to be deliberate with these things. And for me, that's the quote that I would go by.
That's perfect. I only have 2 more for you. Okay.
Cool.
So my last 2, one of the last 2 was there ever a point in your life as an individual where you felt like you wanted to give up because of lack of support, and which we spoke a little bit about before, because you didn't have the support that you necessarily needed and you had people telling you no? What advice would you give to people or individuals who are in the same position as you, who have the same mindset as you, who are starting out? What advice would you give them to tell them to keep going?
That's a really good one. You have to have that undying belief in what it is that you want to achieve. So one of the things that we talk about at 2020 Change is understanding your why. Why did you start? Your why has to be bigger than your how. And then we talk about success triggers. So one of the exercises that I get the young people to do is I ask them, why do you want to be successful? Write those things down. What are your success triggers? So when the going gets tough, when it gets difficult, remember those triggers, because that's what's going to keep you going. So we get them to write these things down. I get them to put it up on their ceiling above their bed So when you're waking up in the morning and you're trying to hit that snooze, you open your eyes and you see your success triggers that will slap you upside the head and you get up. These are realistic things. So it's like, nah, I want this. So you have to constantly remind yourself why. So for me, I think my story is different in the sense that I never, not once, I never have, I probably never will think about giving up, because there's this burden that is laid on my heart to help young people come out of the rut that they find themselves in because somebody helped me. And I felt like that's the only reason why, you know, I was able to come out unscathed, because of the heart that I have for the work that I do. I know that the people that helped me out of certain sticky situations knew that they're helping me for this reason. That, you know, if you can get him out of this, he's gonna do better. He's gonna help other people. So that's, for me, that burden's laid on me. That I would never see a young person in need and just keep it moving. Like the time when a young person will email me and say, "Oh, do I need some advice?" Like, yeah, I mean, maybe tomorrow. It's just not in me to do that. You get, so that burden, it's always going to be there, because the problem, I don't see the problem going away. I just see that there are more people that will rise up to the challenge.
That's true.
And that's one of the things that, you know, we share with our young people as well. So when they're talking about their videotape, automatically, just because of the nature that they now have as a result of going through the 2020 change program, they also want to help and they also want to give back. So that gives me hope for the future as well. So I won't need to carry this burden alone. You know, there'll be an army, as you said, an army of young people that'll be willing to carry it in their own right. So going back to various different countries, setting up initiatives, doing their own thing. That for me is the joy that I carry and the joy that I look forward to, because I know that things will get easier for the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. And I can say that I had a part to play in that. I had a part in sparking that desire in young people. That's just it for me.
I love that. See, I think you've given me so much knowledge today. If people do not come out of it like they have gone to university, then I do not know. Okay. So my final question for you is, where can we find you on all your social medias? Please plug it away.
Sure, yeah, definitely find us on every single social media platform. I'm mostly active on Instagram and LinkedIn. So my personal one is LinkedIn, so it's Duro Oye at LinkedIn. So Duro, surname Oye, and 2020 Change, as is, so 2020 Change on LinkedIn. On Instagram, I'm Mr. Oye, so Mr.Oye at Instagram, and then 2020 Change on Instagram as well. We're on Twitter, but not as active on Twitter, because, as you know, Twitter is a negative space. Everyone's always fighting on there, so we just go there for free and keep it moving.
I've realised that.
But we're on there as well. If you want to follow us on there, YouTube 2020 Change, Facebook for the older ones, 2020 Change as well. But all of the information is on our website. If you want to engage with us, if you want to attend one of our programs, website's constantly updated as well. So all of the tabs are active and you can get to know about what we're doing. During lockdown, since lockdown, we've been doing lunch and learn sessions with our industry professionals and high net worth individuals, just sharing knowledge, talking about how they got to where they got to. It's very easy to see someone on LinkedIn or see their job profile and think this person's always had it, but you'd be surprised.
Trust me, I know.
People, you start to realize that they're just like you. They had to graft, they had to grind, they had to work at it as well. So that's why I'm loving the conversations we're having with our lunch and learn. So feel free to engage with us on social media. We're very, very active on socials. So look forward to connecting with you all.
Perfect. I want to thank you so much for coming on the Us People podcast. Thank you for thank you for your abundance of knowledge.
Thank
your
you.
laughter and your patience. Yeah. So, guys, I want to thank you also for listening to the Us People podcast. And please remember, you can listen and subscribe on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, or any other platform that you prefer to listen to. Please also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, regardless of all the bad banter that is on Twitter.
Dear.
Please remember you can also donate to the Us People podcast by simply going to the Savia Rocks website or just simply typing in paypal.me/Us People podcast. Thank you for listening. Stay happy, stay positive, and please continue to be kind to one another.
One take wonder. I think I really enjoyed this. How about you?